Hello, I'm Marty Nemko. I was motivated to tell you some of the more vivid memories in my life after I was listening to Theodore Bikel, a folk singer, tell his life story. I'm going to be briefer than he was, um, in hopes that maybe there are embedded lessons, uh, or at least they might be vaguely interesting. My earliest memory was of my mother uh, lullabying me to sleep. I was probably about 3. I was in a crib, and she was, of all things, singing God Bless America. Not only was that unusual, and that's a rather unusual lullaby, but she spoke almost no English. She was a Holocaust survivor, pretty much straight off the boat, and that she knew the words. Somehow that mentioning just the word God Bless America kind of meant to me that America was something comforting and important. That was my first memory. Second memory was just lots of memories of getting beaten up as a kid. I was a show off. Somehow I thought that you're supposed to demonstrate your competence or something, but I didn't have the social intelligence to realize that nobody likes a show off. Um, Positive, I got continued to get beaten up actually through junior high school. Um, the next, I think, significant memory I want to share with you was my when I was a senior in high school. I think it was after prom night or something like that. All of us, a group of us, and I was always an outcast, but I was in the group for once, and we were skipping down the street singing "We're Off to See the Wizard," and it was unbridled, unfettered by any worries. And I contrast that with the sober person I am today, and I find that interesting. In college, I was again rejected a lot. Again, I don't know, maybe it's simplistic to say it was simply because of my hubris, but certainly I was rejected from fraternities, and I spent my time really working hard playing baseball in college and also driving a cab in New York. And I finally said something right for once, and that was when I uh, got a guy in my cab who ended up telling me he was a professor of psychology at the Rockefeller University. And I said, "I'm not letting you out of this cab until you give me a job," because I knew who he was. He was the guy who proved that biofeedback was possible. Fortunately, he said, "Well, write me a letter of interest." And I raced home at the end of my shift at midnight, and I wrote, this was before computers, of course, my typewriter. I wrote a letter and went right to the post office, put it in the mailbox, and got hired there and as a research assistant. And that actually helped get me into Berkeley and really was very helpful to my career, because that's where I got my PhD. Um, Next, I was again not liked at all as a graduate student. By the way, the lessons here are that most people consider me pretty successful, but really my life is one of being very disliked, and yet you can still succeed with a fair degree of hard work and some intelligence. And I certainly didn't grow up rich. I couldn't have been grew up dirt poor. New immigrants, no English, living in a tenement in the Bronx, and then Flushing, Queens, in the bottom of a duplex. Um, anyway. After I finished the PhD, I applied for a lot of jobs as a professor and couldn't get one, and couldn't understand why. I got a bunch of little temp gigs, but no real tenure track permanent job. And I finally am a finalist for a tenure track job at San Francisco State, and I really nailed it. They were laughing, they were nodding, and the chair asked me to stay behind, and he says, "Marty, you're by far the most qualified candidate, but you don't stand a ghost of a chance of getting the job. The dean has informed us that the next 7 tenure track positions will be filled by a woman or a minority." That was a shock. I knew it was a factor, but I didn't think it was that black and white, pardon the pun. In any case, so I had to come up with a career, and I became a career counselor, and I chose to do that because my father, along with most of the Holocaust survivors I grew up knowing, and there was quite a few, they were healed not by Holocaust remembrances or therapy, they were healed by work. And that enabled my father not only to heal, but to enable my mom, my sister, and me to move out of the tenement that we lived in the Bronx to at least a blue-collar neighborhood in Queens. Um, and so I became a career counselor, and that's been a pretty good choice, I think. Um, but the most vivid memory since then really was I also love to write. I've always loved to write. I've now written 10 books and over 3,000 articles. I feel I should, if only for my publisher's sake, I should tout my My latest 9th and 10th book is the 3rd edition of The Best of Marty Nemko. It's my best 86 out of my 3,400 articles. And the forthcoming book, the flagship career book in the Dummy series, Careers for Dummies. But anyway, the most vivid memory of my life related to, well, one of the most vivid related to my writing was when I was a columnist at The Atlantic. And my editor asked me, I was pretty much a fair-haired boy at that point, and my editor asked me if I would write a column out arguing who has it better today. This was 2012 or 13. Who has it better, men or women, net? And I argued that women did because they have the choice, for example, to either work at whatever career or they could be stay-at-home moms, whereas guys, the house husbands, looked at askance. Also, that the 77 cents on the dollar statistic that women earn less is a canard, that really for the same work, quality and quantity, it's roughly equal, and in many cases, if for single women who have not yet chosen to have children, the pay is higher. But anyway, he liked it, got published, but no sooner is it published than all the women's organizations pounded away at him. Catalyst, Now, AAUW, and he was forced to fire me. Censorship is alive and well from the left. In any case, I think that's all I really want to say, because that was just so profound and so powerful. I am a deep believer in merit. Where I believe a woman or a person of color is deprived of opportunity to get what they deserve based on their merit, I'll fight alongside them. But I do believe that the net effects of reverse discrimination are far worse for both individuals, the aggrieved person, and society than the benefits of redress. In any case, those are my most vivid memories, and thank you very much for watching. I'm Marty Nemko.